Everyone, factoring into today's video, we're doing JMA Friday today, so we're having a look at weather for coming month with the Japanese and CFS models. They're going to take us into December. We're not going up to Christmas yet with this update, but we're going up towards sort of the middle of December, actually. So we're going well on into the first month of the winter. There's quite a bit of confusion within the model output, though, today. So I'm going to show you the long-range models first, and then we'll have a look at the shorter-range models. And they are a little bit conflicted, actually, about where things are going over the next few weeks. So I'll have a look at all the charts in a moment. But before I get on with that, just to say about the ads, there's links to articles on all the pages of Gadget, this type of browser widgets, and click through the links if there's any articles that you're interested in. And thanks very much for doing that. There's video ads on most of the pages. They open out in the content. When you watch them, they'll close back up again. It's all helping to pay for the websites. And the Chris Shop is open, as you know, so if you've got any Chris shopping to do at Amazon between now and Christmas, all you have to do is first of all click the button that says Christmas Shop. It's underneath this video on the homepage. It'll take you off to the Christmas Shop, and then from there you see the Amazon banners. So when you see those, you just click through the Amazon banners. It'll take you off to Amazon, and then just do Chris shopping as normal. You don't have to do anything different whatsoever. It's just the fact that you click from this website to Amazon. That means we get revenue fee on the things that you are purchasing. So thanks so much for getting involved, and thanks for doing that. There's also a search widget in the Christmas Shop as well, so you can search for any item that you want to buy. But the easiest thing is probably just to click through the Amazon banners. So let's get on with the update. We'll start off with the JMA model for the coming months. So these are 500 millibar heights broken down into weekly periods. The first week period is the week that we're in, taking us from the 13th through to the 20th of November. As you know, with 500 millibar heights, if you watch these videos quite regularly, blue extrapolates to low pressure, and orange, yellow, and red will be extrapolating to high pressure. So for the coming week, we've got low pressure in the Atlantic going down to the west and the south of us. We've got this ridge of high pressure here across many parts of Europe, and it means that the jet stream is going rather like that. So it's a mild, westerly, Atlantic-driven week coming up, if the model is correct. But I'm going to show you some charts in a moment that is a little bit conflicted with this for next week and beyond that sort of day 10. But the JMA long-range model is seeing sort of a westerly and mild flow. The next weekly period also reflects this as well, really, with low pressure again to west and southwest of us, ridge of high pressure going a little bit further to the east, but the flow is still generally quite mild, doing something like that. Certainly doesn't look like a particularly cold flow with that one, but again, I'm going to show you some charts from the shorter range model in a moment. And then week 2, which takes us from the 27th of November through to the 11th of December, so going well into the first month of winter. We do see a change there. Low pressure becomes centred more towards the north of the country. High pressure down across the southeast of Europe and well away from us in the Atlantic. Means that the jet stream is moving south here. We're bringing the jet stream south, probably bringing colder air down into the country via this trough of low pressure, which would start to send the wind more to a northwest southeasterly type flow. So it is seeing a change there for the very end of November and start of December to potentially something a little bit colder coming up. Again, the jet stream is probably going to the south of us in that sort of position. So we go on to the cold side of the jet at the start of December. Excuse me. Just have a look at the CFS D2 500 millibar heights for the next month. The first weekly period takes us from the 13th through to the 19th of November. What we see with this one is again high pressure across many parts of Europe, low pressure out to west and northwest, a flat westerly flow going through the country. So it's unsettled, but it's generally quite mild with those winds from a south-west or westerly type direction. The next weekly period, again, very similar, low pressure out to the west and the northwest of the country. Better change the colours for this one. We've got a ridge down across most central southern parts of Europe. So again, it means that the flow is going rather like that. So once more, the air is coming in from a west or southwesterly type direction with that one. The next weekly period finds the trough of low pressure becoming more stuck to the south of Greenland as we start to get all of this ridging developing to the east and the northeast. This could be cooler actually, because although the jet stream is being shoved off a bit like that, because there's so much ridging to the east and the southeast, we could be dragging up the air from sort of a southeasterly direction with that one. Of course, that's coming off the continent. At this time of year, the continent will cool very, very rapidly under high pressure, so that could be dragging in colder air from the southeast and from the east a little bit anyway. And then the next week period, this one going from the 4th through to the 10th of December, a bit different with this one, and this looks very mild potentially. You've got low pressure gain around Greenland and Iceland, and then high pressure through central parts of Europe, a little bit further southwards over the week before. So it means that the flow is probably more from a southerly, maybe southwesterly type direction. A lot of settled weather in with that, but potentially really quite mild through the first part of December. Temperature anomalies look like this from CFSV2 the coming week, much milder than average. The next week period, the 20th through to 26th of November, that looks significantly milder than average as well. The third weekly period, 27th through to the 3rd of December, that looks very mild also. And then finally, the fourth week rounds it all off, the 4th to the 10th of December, looking very mild once again. So the CFS V2 is most definitely seeing a very, very, very mild second half to November, lasting into the start of December. The precipitation looks like this: a wet week coming up through the coming week. The next week looking significantly wetter than average as well. The third week, not as wet, but still wetter than average, actually, and that's with high pressure very close to us. So a little bit wetter than average still, even from a week from the 27th of November through to the 3rd of December, particularly so down in the south. And then it's near normal with rainfall from the 4th through to the 10th of December. So it looks like we're in for a very mild second half to November and start to December if CFSV2 is right. But the shorter range models, these are the shorter range models, GFS, EWF and the GEM, they want to start turning things colder next week. So this is for GFS, and we find low pressure is coming in off the Atlantic Bend. So that's pretty good representation of what we were seeing for next week from both the JMA and the CFS, with low pressure driving in, bringing quite a lot of heavy rain, fairly mild temperatures down in the south, a little bit cooler up in the north. But as we run through to the end of next week, you notice that the low pressure is pushing off to the east, and that's turning winds into the north through the 20th of November. You get a bit of a northerly shock coming down across the country, albeit still with troughs of low pressure within the flow. That is significantly colder. The jet stream is shifting to the south of us, and we would certainly be opening the door to the chance of night frost, possibly wintry showers in the north as well. We go through to Sunday the 22nd of November, and still low pressure revolving around the country, troughs of low pressure within pretty cold air. Here's the upper air temperatures. You see that we've lost all of those yellow, orange upper air temperatures that have been bathing us through most of November. They're going down to the south of France, into Spain and the Mediterranean. We're in these much cooler green colours. Actually, we bring the -5 isotherm into Scotland and Northern England. That's wintry type air. When that turns up, we do have the chance, anyway, of wintry showers at this time of the year. Day 10, which is Monday 23rd of November, looks like this. Another low pressure is coming down on a northwest-southeast trajectory. Notice that this black line here, which indicates the jet stream on these charts, that is going into a northwest-southeast trajectory, and we're on the cold side of it. It's to the south of us, so that's the reason it is turning colder at the end of next week and into the weekend of the 21st through to 22nd of November. Now, this develops more as we go on to the extended range of the GFS. I don't normally show these charts, but as we move through to the end of November, what happens is that we start to get quite a big build of pressure here through the Central Atlantic going up towards Iceland. That's a block beginning to develop to the north of us. So this turns it very much colder for the end of November. No sign whatsoever of this, I have to say, on those longer range models that we were just looking at, the JMA and the CFS. But this is a block chart, and it is much colder with the wind coming in from the north and the northeast. Certainly bringing frost, probably bringing snow to northern eastern parts of the country for the end of November. The ECWF for the start of next week, very similar, with generally still fairly mild, especially in the south with these areas of low pressure driving in, bringing a lot of heavy rain. And that takes us through most of next week. So probably next week, from those long range models, is about right. It is going to be a relatively mild week, I would think, but certainly very wet. As we go beyond that into the weekend of the 21st, 22nd of November, again, the idea to shift those low pressures to the east, start to build heights to the west, which begins to turn the winds round to the north. Now, the ECWF develops this very intense area of low pressure across England and Wales on, say, the 22nd of November. That's been quite cold there, so you wouldn't rule out the chance of some snow over the Pennines with that. But really, it's just a very, very wet, cold, windy, miserable type pattern, actually. That a very deep area of low pressure, 975 millibars. And we end up on day 10 with that moving out of the way to Scandinavia. And again, the idea is really that we're opening the door to northerly winds, although the northerly winds are actually going to the west of us at this point. But I would assume everything would shift eastwards. This high pressure that's developing to the south of Greenland will push these northerly winds towards us through that final week of November. So the GFS and the ECM are sort of indicating the same idea, which is trending towards a colder scenario as we get later on into towards the end of November. Finally, the GEM, it's all very similar for the start of next week. A lot of wet weather coming up, generally quite mild in the south, a little bit colder up in the north. And then we go through to the extended range. This is day 8, a week away, opening the door to those northerly winds. We keep the northerly winds going into the weekend of the 21st, 22nd, and then finally we end up on day 10, the 23rd of November. Again, everything's aligned northwest to southeast. There's probably another low pressure coming through, followed by a northerly shot. So it's a little bit confusing with the model output today. The hints are certainly there from the shorter range models, which is the GFS, the ECM, and the GM. The hints are there that later next week will start to turn things colder, possibly quite a cold weekend, 21st and 22nd of November, so sort of the weekend after the one that's coming up tomorrow. And then as we go into the final week of November, could stay cold, and actually the GFS wants to extend it into a proper cold spell by the end of the month, with quite a block developing around Iceland. Not sure about that, but there's no sign of this really at all on the longer range models, I should say. So the JMA and the CFS are sort of indicating quite mild weather to the end of November, and certainly in terms of the CFS wants to carry that on into December as well. So it is a confused picture. We may be seeing a pattern change here, and when you get a pattern change, very often the models are flip-flopping about and do struggle with it, especially it seems for longer range stuff actually. So let's wait and see how things develop. But if you want some colder weather before this November is done, it has been very mild so far, if you want some colder weather, things might just be starting to get a little bit interesting. So keep checking back for more updates. We'll do a weekend forecast tomorrow. Come back for that. It'll be a very wet one. And that's all for now. Thanks for watching.